Well, hello everybody. This is Dr. Andrew Bennett again, coming to you this week to spend some time talking about customer service and really why it's so important as a part of your time in the internship, and arguably one of the most important things you'll learn to becoming an excellent physical therapist. So why bring up customer service now? Obviously, we're still in the first couple of weeks of the internship. We want to focus on a lot of things over the course of the year, but we wanted to make sure this is one of those things that we hit early, as it will become a big part of really your time as an intern, but arguably one of the more important things you'll do as a physical therapist. If we look at the definition of evidence-based practice, we're all familiar with this, correct? Judicious use of the evidence, highest clinical expertise, and patient value. In physical therapy school, I can think of many times where I was taught the evidence. I've taught many of my students how to use the evidence. In terms of clinical expertise, that's really where we are right now, isn't it? That's part of what the internship's all about, is pairing you up with a clinical expert who can help you develop your own expertise. But what about this patient value part? What did you learn in physical therapy school, back at your schoolhouse, about patient values? I can tell you, this is exactly what I was taught in physical therapy school. So we want to change that. So we're going to use a systems approach to teaching and defining and helping you better live excellent customer service. So let's start with the definition. Clinical excellence begins with absolutely exceptional, unprecedented, knock your socks off customer service. Several types of customers. We're all familiar with these. Repeat customers are obviously the folks that come back. Vigilante customers are those that really they want to stay different. They're willing to fight upstream to go after that product that they want. And then there are those that are loyal beyond reason. These are the customers that we're looking to build in our physical therapy practices. Because clinical excellence plus customer service excellence provides the ultimate outcome, which is a highly engaged ambassador for you, for your clinic, for your profession. Let's pause for a minute and talk about the difference between customer satisfaction and customer loyalty. Now, I'm going to use the words customer interchangeably with the word patient. Obviously, in physical therapy, we have more than one type of customer. We have our external customers, which are our physicians, our referral sources, case managers, and our patients. We also have internal customers, which are our staff, our co-workers, and such. But for the sake of this lecture, we're going to use patient and customer interchangeably. So let's talk about the basics of customer satisfaction. A good example might be, I'm a big eater. I really enjoy food. I especially enjoy Italian food. So if I just need to find a good Italian restaurant, I need something that meets my needs. So it's close, it's relatively inexpensive, they make good lasagna. So I can go and order lasagna and it comes out looking, tasting like lasagna, and my issue of craving lasagna is resolved. So I am a satisfied customer. But if I'm looking for lasagna again, and I'm in a different part of town, am I going to return back to that lasagna place? Well, not necessarily. If I can find it closer to where I am now, maybe I can find it cheaper, maybe I can get it faster, I might change and move to a different restaurant. But let's shift gears now. Now let's talk about a restaurant that I am loyal to. When Heather's my wife, when Heather and I want to go out on a special date, perhaps an anniversary date, or just it's been a while since we've been together, alone without the kids, we just want to go celebrate a bit, we're going to go to Lorenzo's. Now Lorenzo's is about 35 to 45 minutes away from where I live. and yet it's a little bit more expensive than what I would normally spend on lasagna. But I am incredibly loyal to Lorenzo's because they have exceptional service. Lasagna's okay. The lasagna's good. It's not exceptionally good lasagna. But when I walk into Lorenzo's, I feel like I'm the most important customer in their restaurant. I feel like I get to go be a part of their family. Mama knows my name. Papa calls out, "My lasagna's here." The son brings it out with his white apron on. They have something special about this restaurant that I'm willing to pay more for lasagna than I normally would and drive out of my way to go to Lorenzo's. I am loyal to Lorenzo's. And so that's what the amazing factor, customer service being amazing customer service, can do to patients and customers in your own clinic. So the essentials of amazing. We want to talk a bit about what makes our service different, makes what we provide something special. It must start with service. And I mean service not just any, well, may I help you please, but I mean service in the sense of we serve them, we care for them. They provide the means by which we feed our families. No patients equals no food. Alright, so we've defined what patient loyalty is about. Now let's talk about how I can teach it to you. We're going to take you through some of the principles of amazing customer service. Now, this has been in collaboration with several clinics, but I want to just give credit to those folks down below. Now, zing, you notice we've used the words amazing a couple of times, and the zing is always capitalized a little differently. To zing is to have a quality or a characteristic that excites an enthusiasm of a person. And we've replaced the word person with of each patient you encounter. So, are you ready to learn how to zing your patients? Well, let's look through the amazing rules. Number 1. Amazing rules without rules. We are guided by principles. We don't live according to rules. Here's the principles that I'd like you to learn to use in your clinic every day. If you're faced with a decision or an encounter, if you can answer yes to all 4 of these, it's probably the right thing to do. If it's not able to answer yes to all of these, you should consider your actions. You don't die for rules. Alright, amazing rules number 2. Mindset. It's all about what you believe. In order for you to be amazing in your clinic this afternoon and tomorrow and the day after that, you must believe that your company has the best service, that you work for the best company, period, and that you are the best or learning to be the best at what you do. Your work, your company, your product must be unmatchable. If you believe this, your ability to be amazing has begun. Okay, amazing. The first 30 seconds. What we're talking about is first impressions here. The A's are for affirmation, attention, and appreciation. In the first 30 seconds, you need to let those patients know that they're in the right place. They're going to get what they came in the door looking for. And they have your attention. Not, yep, but they have your non-verbal and verbal complete attention. And that you appreciate them. You recognize that there is something unique and valuable about that person sitting right in front of you. Again, we're talking about first impressions. Now, those of you that have seen this internet clip, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you that haven't, I've provided the YouTube link down below. You may choose to pull that out of the handout But this is Susan Boyle. Now, Susan Boyle isn't exactly the most impressive looking musician. She doesn't wear very trendy clothes, and she certainly doesn't fit the traditional model-esque physique. But when she opened her mouth on that show, Britain's Got Talent, the world stopped. She was incredibly good, and is good. But you may never get to open your mouth and tell your patients all that you know about their back pain, or how you can help them. Your first impressions are more important than your clinical knowledge. Here's a table from one of the supplemental resources that I'm going to ask you to look at this week. Your first impressions will often be made before you even see the patient. It's when they're seeing you. What you wear makes a big difference in your first impressions. Now, hopefully I'm talking to the choir here, preaching to the choir. You all know what professional attire should look like. But every now and then I find physical therapists and interns that want to wear khaki pants and a polo shirt and tennis shoes. That does not meet the highest level of evidence, if you will, on what drives the first impressions. Now, you may argue that being on your feet all day in tennis shoes makes you more comfortable. Well, that might be so. But guess what? It's not about you, is it? We live to serve our patients and to provide them the best experience that we can. Okay, amazingly friendly is the difference maker. Number 4. I want you to meet your patients like they're your grandma. Okay? There's no pretentious patients. They don't really care how much you know. Grandma's proud of you regardless. Don't try to impress them from the get-go. Treat them like they're McDreamy, or for the guys, maybe treat them like they're Carrie Underwood. Now, what I mean here is treat them with celebrity status. Okay? But lest you think I'm being silly or spoof, you must do it with authenticity. It's easy to pick out people that are fake. You can do it, I can do it. Guess what? Your patients can do it. You must really believe that your patient is someone who's genuinely unique and has something to offer you. My dad is one of the best I've ever met at doing this. He understands that everyone needs to be appreciated. How well can you appreciate that person in front of you to recognize that they have something unique and valuable that's worth listening to? Again, a reminder, it's not about how much you know. Your patients will not listen to you unless they like you. These quotes come from over 100,000 patient surveys that have been collected. I want you to take a moment and read through these. Can you find any of these that talk about the clinical outcome, that talk about the clinical prediction rule, that talk about manipulation skills? No, what do you see? Friendly, caring, friendly, and caring. Alright, amazing rules number 5. The atmosphere, where everybody knows your name. Now, we call this in our house the Cheers principle. Now, I'm dating myself a little bit, but I used to watch this as a kid. You may have some CIs that watched this when they were newly married. I won't mention any names, Bridget, but there may be a few. The Cheers principle, I tried to actually go back and find an updated picture, or maybe a more well-known TV show or drama or something that might carry forward, but I really couldn't find anything else. This was really the best example. The Cheers sitcom was basically it revolved around people that knew each other from a bar, and they were from all walks of life. There was blue collar, there was white collar, there was family, there were enemies, there were colleagues, there were coworkers, and yet what kept them together, what kept them coming back, was that this was a family that by choice. You may have heard family by birth, friends by choice. I'm going to argue that it's our responsibility to make our patients feel like they have a family of choice. Okay, number 6, the amazing skill set. You need to learn to listen, to learn, and to act. Anybody want to make a guess? How about that? 18 seconds. Now, obviously, we would like to think we do better than that. But actually, I think ours is about the same, if not worse, in the physical therapy literature. Listening is incredibly important. It is a core value to customer service. Now, it's also something that's trainable, which means you have to work on it. You have to practice it. It is something you can learn to be good at. And your CIs, your clinical faculty, will help you practice some techniques to learn to listen. All right, number 7, amazing recovery takes class. Now, in customer service, rarely does it ever go right the first time. Often it'll go right the second time. But it's the response to how it goes wrong that makes the difference. When something goes wrong, we respond with compassion, we listen, we apologize, attempt to satisfy the needs of the customer, and then we start over. Let me give you an example. John came into my clinic yesterday and he believed he had a 2:30 appointment. And the front office said, no, your appointment is at 2:30 tomorrow, not today. And John got very upset. And so by the time I got to come talk with him, my response to John went something like this. Oh gosh, John, I'm sorry that we made a mistake on the appointment time. I understand how you've rearranged your schedule to make that appointment. I can imagine how now you've got to go back and rearrange childcare, or you've put your kids in the extended daycare this afternoon. It's costing you some extra dollars. I apologize that we didn't meet the needs that you had. Now, would you like me to try to fit you in right now? It'll take me a minute to move some people around, and it won't be like what we normally do, but I can fit you in. John's response was, no, yeah, that would actually be good. No, I don't want to have to move them. My kids, go ahead and let's try to get me in today. Would be really good. So then my response to John when he finally comes back into the clinic is, okay, John, now let's start from the beginning. Tell me how you're feeling today. Let's start this this encounter over. So although I butchered the scenario, it went much faster than that yesterday. But you get the idea. Patients are going to come into your clinic and they're going to be hurting from what you did the other day. You need to respond with compassion. Jennifer, I'm sorry that you're hurting more today than when you left here. That's not what I expected. That's not what I intended. So tell me more about how you feel today. I apologize that was the response that you had to the manipulation. I really, truthfully, did not expect it to go that way. Let me take a look at you and see if we can help calm those symptoms back down. Now, stand up and let's take a look at this, and we're going to start over again. Okay, so those are, I mean, again, just some sort of hypothetical examples of that one, but some examples of how we respond. See, the problem is rarely the problem. It's almost always how you respond to the problem. Because at the end of the day, it's all about perception. Okay, a couple more. The amazing rules. Amazing and then some. You know, it's been said, people may forget your name. They may forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. It's not about your clinical knowledge. It's about your level of service. This is taken from a review of about 140,000 patient encounters across over 200 hospitals. When they listed out the patient satisfaction components, clinical skills and clinical outcomes didn't even make the top 15. You want to guess what those were in the top 15? You got it. It's about how the patients were made to feel. Branding. We're building a physical therapy brand. You are building your own physical therapy brand. Patients and customers are loyal to a brand. The number one recognizable brand in the world is Harley-Davidson. People tattoo that all over their bodies. There's something special about the Harley-Davidson brand. What brand are you building? Is it one that you would tattoo? Is it one that you would like your patients to put their names on or talk about you when they're around the dinner tables with their friends? What brand are you building? Now this is listed as number 9, the amazing attitude every day, but I think this could probably be the number 1 most important one. Our attitude determines our altitude. This is a picture of Cal Ripken Jr. Now some of you may not know who he is, some of you may recognize his name. Cal Ripken Jr. was a baseball player who currently holds the record for the consecutive number of games without missing a start. It's somewhere around 2,125 or perhaps a little bit more. Now he also holds another record. That's nearly 88 games without a single error, which as a shortstop is very hard to do. Cal Ripken was inducted into the Hall of Fame of baseball, and I'll never forget listening to his acceptance speech. The thing that overtook me about his entire speech was his attitude. He chose day in and day out to be flawless, to be exceptional, to be amazing. Now, I don't think for a minute that Cal Ripken woke up every morning with a smile on his face and said, I can't believe I'm Cal Ripken and I get to go play baseball. But he chose, by the time he hit the field for his practices and for his games, to be incredible. Now, I've had days in my clinical world where I'm not super excited to be in the clinic. You know, maybe I've gotten a little bit of an argument at home, or I'm missing one of my kids' baseball games, or something happened with one of my patients yesterday and it's just got me in a miff, or I've got 15 charts waiting on me that I didn't finish yesterday and I really don't want to do them. Those are the realities, but we must choose your attitude. And one of my personal exercises is when I walk into the clinic in the morning, people will often say, hey, good morning, Dr. Bennett, how are you? It is one of my promises I will never answer that question with the word fine or good. Because I know that the minute I open my mouth, I am choosing the attitude of the day. And so my response sounds like this. Hey, good morning, Dr. Bennett. How are you? Hey, good morning, Tim. Man, I'm fantastic today. Thanks. What is your attitude? Okay, and number 10, our final one. The amazing rules are worth fighting for. I think we've hit this pretty hard, but you're going to have to work to make our customers feel the amazing experience. Again, I've tried to keep it simple. It's about the experience. It's how we make them feel. Okay, now we've talked about what they are, and there's going to be some accountability. There's some tools that I want to go over very quickly about how we're going to measure it, monitor it, reward it, improve it. Now, some of you may have this very form in your clinics. Others will have something, a variation of that. But this is how our patients are going to fill out your first impressions. Questions 1 through 7 are for the first visit, and then after we finish the visits, when they're finished their episode of care, we would have them complete the others and fill in, if they would, those last 3 boxes. This is describing how they felt. What did they think about you? Measure it, we monitor it, we graph it. It tells us how we're doing. It tells us how you're doing. And yes, we're going to compare your customer service outcomes to those of your colleagues, your classmates, and ultimately your clinical faculty. Now, the most memorable experience. This is an important comment. Now, what do you see about this? Other than perhaps that I was, but not really, a memorable experience for that first patient. Okay? What do they remember? Beating the tech and the chair scoot. The exercise were enjoyable with the team. The friendly staff. Okay? How about that one in the middle? Is that you? Did you fail to make a memorable encounter with your patient? Let's hope not. Now, here's a tool that we've used. We've adapted this from the Kaiser Hayward primary care tool, where we look at the 4 habits. Now, this is something that your clinical faculty will be using to record and to monitor your abilities, as well as I'd encourage you to monitor one another's. The 4 habits are: invest in the beginning, elicit the patient's perspective, demonstrate empathy, and then invest in the end. Now, let's back up and just go through a couple of these. The skills are listed here as to creating rapport, elicit their concerns, planning the visit, and then we've listed some verbal and nonverbal examples of how you might do this. And then the opportunity for whoever's observing you, whether that's your colleague, your classmate, or your clinical faculty, to write down whether you did this or not. The goal is that with every single encounter, you build these 4 habits into the encounter. I would encourage you to work through these sheets and to read the article that's associated with that off of Moodle. All right, real quick, we're going to go through the top 10 and count down into what is about amazing. We want them to be able to do business with us easy, right? We're here. You have access to us. Give your patients your cell phone numbers, your Facebook contacts, your Twitter IDs. Connect with them. Listen before you act. Remember that your patients' needs are different today than they were yesterday. Either you did a good job and they're responding, and so their needs are changing. Never discharge your patient. That is a dirty word. I am your physical therapist for life. I'm not going to discharge my primary care physician when I get over the flu, because I may need him later. All right? So you build that relationship. We talked about this. We are the best in the business. You are the best at what you do. You do have more clinical knowledge. But we don't say it. We serve. Our culture, who we are, is more important than what we do. But we do it great every day. It's about relationships. Whether you're 88, 38, or 8, we have the ability to be kind and gentle and genuine. We choose to focus on customer service. It's an attitude. We're committed to doing it right, to helping those in our organization who want to do it right, but need to be taught how. Every single visit is valuable. It must be big. Do it right, but do it your own way. Make it real. Make it authentic. Okay, that's my soapbox stance on customer service and why it's so important to the clinical internship. I hope it's been helpful for you, and I look forward to hearing from your experiences on the discussion board over this week. Thanks a bunch.